Hello punters and viewers, and welcome to my Saturday racing preview video. Of course, in this video we're going to be looking at the Morphettville meeting on the weekend. First and foremost, with it being the Group 1 Goodwood spearheading the day of racing. Some fantastic racing all across the country. Really going to be getting stuck into as many as I can. So in this video, of course, looking at the Morphettville card. We'll be looking at the Flemington card, which is obviously spearheaded by the Andrew Ramsden. So be looking into that meeting in the next video. And then probably the other video will be the meeting at Rose Hill. And I'll also be touching on the meeting at the Gold Coast. Of course, Gold Coast Guineas up there. So we're coming towards the end of the South Australian Racing Carnival, and the Queensland Racing Carnival is starting up now. So I'll be touching on that at the back end of the Rose Hill video as well. So keep an eye on that. I'll probably be posting the Rose Hill video tomorrow. I'm going to be obviously posting this one now, which you'll be seeing and viewing right now, but I'll also be trying to get the Flemington video up by tonight as well. There's a lot of racing going on both tomorrow and Saturday, so I've got to make sure I get it out for you guys so you well prepared, and you've got this you got all the info you need leading into Saturday. So going straight into race number 1 at Morphettville, to 2,030 metre race, benchmark 80. It's the Carbine Club. And starting at 12 o'clock, so make sure you're ready to go. Nice early racing starting the day. Look at this, the field. It's a nice 9-horse field. And look at the speed map for this first race on the card. I'd say that Farouk will go towards the top. War Tiger and Mahi, his Angel, will probably be the two leaders, though, in the race. And Farouk will probably drop just in behind them, I would suggest. Look, I'm going to lean with War Tiger here because last time out, finished third behind the Black Leopard and declares war. I think that form is not too bad. Prior to that, it was really good. It did beat Farouk here at Morphettville a couple of starts back, and obviously on the 9th of March. And I thought that was a really nice performance. And a return to that type of form here, we'll see it go very close. Once again, I think 360 is a nice price. So I'm going to have it on top. Ahead of Farouk, who is in great form, has never missed a top 4 finish in this preparation, which is what you really like to see, and has been in the Quinella spots 4 of the 5 runs this preparation. And obviously, like I said, that second to War Tiger, and then came out in Panola and won nicely there. So as a $1.40 favourite, carried 62 kilos. Only just got the job done there on that occasion, but it's still got the job done nonetheless. And having a look here at last time War Tiger and Farouk clashed, Farouk's going to be carrying an extra 2 kilos on that particular occasion, whereas War Tiger will be also carrying an extra 2. So there's no sort of swing in the weights, but I still suggest a War Tiger can get the better of Farouk. But there's it's not a whole lot splitting them, and the market says that as the case. And I've got number 6, Orleans Rock, in for third. Now, I'm just not sure if this horse will go towards this race. It is a favourite here and also in a race at Flemington. So be interested just to see where it lands in terms of what race it goes in. So I'm going to have it in for third here, because even if it does go here, while it's a really good horse and I have a lot of respect for it because I backed it last time in. But for me, I just think that there's a couple that are ahead of it on this stage. It's obviously building up nicely. Its last start victory at Sandown the Hillside track was impressive, but comes back now onto a bit of a firmer surface. There's soft 5 at the moment at Morphettville. I'd say that there's not a whole lot of rain, but it's a little trickle, so it might be ranging between that soft and good track by Saturday. So if you're getting that good track, I would suggest that obviously Orleans Rock is looking for a bit of a wetter track, which is maybe what Paul Pruska's sitting back and waiting to see what sort of track is going to play out at Morphettville and here at Flemington. So interesting to see where Orleans Rock goes. Mahi's Angel is going to be my 4th pick, who's hit a bit of form in its last 2 starts. It was a really good win last time out at Morphettville, beating Francis Boy, and prior to that was a second at Gawler behind Marina. So I think it can run a good enough race here. But all honours with number 2, War Tiger, ahead of narrowly 1, Farouk. I think they're the 2 to beat. Obviously, if Orleans Rock does go there and there's a bit of rain, it'll come into contention. But right now at $2.80, when there's that little bit of a query, I'd say at this stage I'd be probably more confident to be at Flemington, with there being a fair bit of rain about down here in Victoria. I'd say that might be where they go, considering it is still favourite and looks a pretty nice race for it at Flemington as well. So interesting to see where it goes, but I'm going to have it in for third regardless. Then 4th will be number 4, Mahi's Angel, who I think is the other decent chance in the race. Move on to race number 2 now on the card. It's a 1,200 metre M&J Chickens Natural Stakes, and looking at the 10-horse field, the speed map here, A couple of debutants. I'd say Hard Rock Girl, Shine, Diala will be up on the speed. We see if Hard Rock Girl pushes up and really keeps those two speed horses and Shine and Diala out. I'd say Diala will try and find the top because that's its favourite type of role, and we've seen some good performances from it being at the top there. But look, I'm going to land with number 9, Yes Baby, Yes Baby Yes, so I think it's a real nice price here. We finished 4th behind Diala last time out, was on its race debut. I think it'll get a lot of benefit out of that run. On that occasion, on that day at the Sandown Lakeside track, not a whole lot made ground from back in the field, so interesting to note that, and it was really coming home nicely, and that was on a heavy track, which it hadn't, obviously was its first crack on a heavy track, so I think Yes Baby Yes was a good enough run there. I think $15 is a bit of a silly price considering it was only just under 2 lengths behind Diala and was on its race day debut. Diala goes around as the favourite, so I think Yes Baby Yes is the far better betting option, and it's going to be my on-top selection ahead of Diala, who, like I mentioned, was very good on that occasion on the heavy track, but carried 60 kilos, gets a nice weight relief here, comes down to 55.5. But like I mentioned on that day, it was the pattern was to be on speed at Sandown, and that definitely played into its favour. So perhaps, not saying it's a huge knock coming to this race, still think it's got a great chance, but just don't think it's good enough to be a $3.20 chance when I thought Yes Baby Yes has a bit of merit at the $15. Zoo Shines, another one who I think's got a very nice chance. Been knocking on the door for a win now. Has had 3 placings in a row. Last night finished third behind Forever Rain, Hard Rock Girl, who is my 4th selection. Obviously finished second that race. I think Zoo Shine can get the better of it, just considering it'll be up towards the speed. There's not a whole lot of tempo. Depends on if Hard Rock Girl does boot up off the inside barrier and make Zoo Shine and Diala work. So really interesting sort of tussle. They're not a whole lot between Zushine and Hard Rock Girl. I just think Zushine's got a bit of progression in it, can progress off that run. That's my top 4. But the other one that I'm interested in is a debutant from Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr. And it was a $510,000 horse called Miss Guggenheim out of Dundee. Obviously bred to go a bit further, but this horse looks a really nice type, and wasn't pushed out in its jump out, so interesting to see on how it can go. Hasn't had a whole lot of market support, but obviously sold for a lot of money, and looks to have some ability based off its breeding. But look at, for me, I'm going to have number 9, Yes Baby Yes, on top in race number 2 at the $15. I think it's a real great price to take into a race like that, considering it was only just under 2 lengths behind Diala. So Diala goes in for second. In for third, number 8, Zoo Shine. In for fourth, number 7, Hard Rock Girl. Move on to race number 3, 1,050 metre race, benchmark 72 is the Hold Fast Insurance. Look at the speed map for this one here. Quite a big field here. We've got 14 runners. We've got 12 runners in the race. And looking at the speed map, I'd say that Zorance, Pleasant will find the top. Miss LaBelle won't be far off them. Might have to do a bit of work for that outside barrier with a few of these looking to kick up off the inside barrier. Say Whitecaps will push forward and be quite prominent as well. So a real interesting race here. It's a tough one, race number 3 here. I've struggled to, I guess, split a couple of these, but for me, the one I landed with, number 7, Symphonet. I think if they go at a good enough tempo, this horse will get a real good card into the race under Kayla Crowther, who's been in some nice form, and so has Philip Stokes. So, and I think that Mum's My Hero form, I think I've mentioned that in a race day review. I think that's going to be a nice form to follow with Mum's My Hero, and it's a horse that I've got marked down in the black book as one to watch. So I think if we can follow that in, number 7, Symphonet looks hard to beat, so I'm going to have it on top of the $4.60. $1.70 looks a nice price for the place as well, so you could go a little shorter on the win and bigger on the place, and make sure you can get just over your money back or a profit. So I think you can do well there. So I'm going to have it on top ahead of number 1, Pleasant, who is an interesting runner. Comes here, Lockie Neindorf's in the saddle, has been in flying form. 2 kilo claim, brings it down 6.5. It's a horse that's obviously coming from north of Victoria and down here now to Morphettville. So interesting, because Patrick Sweeney doesn't often bring the horses down to this type of way, but comes out of an orange race last time out where it was beaten by Golden Tycoon. Prior to that was it raced at Wagga, and then before that went to Moonee Valley and finished behind Human Nature, finished 8th on that occasion. So hasn't been in the greatest form, but its last start performance was not too bad, and I just don't think they would make the travel down to Morphettville unless they thought it was definitely worth it. So I think $15 in a race like this is not a bad option. Number 3, Extreme Thrill. I think it's an each way prices, each way chance as well. Uh, Looks to get a nice run into the race as well here, and doesn't mind if there's a bit of a soft going or a good or firm track. So for me, either conditions will suit this horse nicely. First up, Georgina Cartwright in the saddle. She's in good form, so I think that's a good each way option as well. And Fortune Fellows, look, no knock on it. Just think that 235 is a very, very short quote about a horse that was good last time out, beat a 10, went around at $6.50 on that occasion, but I think 235 is way too short. I thought there was a couple others that have decent claims at bigger odds. Free Thrills is probably the other one that I can make a good each way claim for if I was to put another number outside of my top 4. But look, I'm pretty confident with the chance of number 7, Symphonette. Like I said, I think that Mum's My Hero form is the one to follow into a race like this. Number 1, Pleasant. Like I said, really interested into how this horse brings that sort of country New South Wales form down here to Morphettville from Albury. And it's how it goes here, because Mr. Sweeney doesn't bring his horses down this way to down to Morphettville very often. So interesting runner. If it got in for second. Number 3, Extreme Thrill, could be a good chance here at the each way odds first up, but so I think it's got to be worth a mention. And number 10, the favourite, Fortune Fellows, in for fourth. Moving on to race number 4 now. It's the Schweppes benchmark 64. Look at the speed map here. Really big field for this one. We've got 16 runners in it. Look at the speed map. And I'd say there'll be a little bit of pace, as you probably expected a decent field of this size. I'd say Mighty Storm, Hardy Lasso dumped its rider last time out, last Saturday in the same race as Dixon Street and on the General, where it was the it actually ran really well. It went straight past and caused a lot of interference in that race. So interesting that it's backed up now into this race, and if it goes round, and hopefully it doesn't do the same thing this time, because I actually do give it a bit of a chance. Lar Croft, if it can get a run, it is on the outside barrier, so he might have to do a bit of work there. And Levita off the inside, I could see probably pushing forward. So there's no noted leaders, but a lot of these do like to come up and land on the pace. So really does make it interesting to see where they will land in the running. But look, for me, I'm going to go at number 9, Defiant Dancer. I'm hoping that Damien Thornton can follow a lot of those speed horses from that outside barriers and lob into a spot just about midfield, a bit of cover, and get out off the bend, off a bit of a tempo, and finish over the top of him. It finished second last time out on a heavy track behind. Hit a legend on the hillside. Think that's a good form line to bring into a benchmark 64 here at Morphettville. Prior to that was finished 5th behind Final Man and Al Burke. I think that's that form race has been pretty good as well. And prior to that finished 3rd, Ancestry is flying. So I think Defiant Dancer's got the right type of form to bring into a race like this, and $6 is a really good price as well. $2.25 the place looks an absolute lock. So I'm happy to go with that horse on top ahead of number 10, Hardy Lass, who, like I said, last start dumped the rider at the gates and went round, ended up winning the race quite comfortably, but you can kind of expect that, I guess, from a horse that didn't have the jockey in the saddle. Interesting for me, if this horse gets on top of the ground, it's a very good chance, and $17 way over the odds. But if it's a wet track, I'll probably bump it down my numbers. But at this stage, I do think that there's a chance we could get a good track, so I'm going to actually give it a chance off the basis of that. So that's my second selection, but like I said, if the rain comes, then I'll bump it down a couple of selections. Number 7, Lunar Light for Will Clarkin. No knock on this horse. It's finished 4th last time out by Wild Vixen, really discreet. I think that's a decent form line to bring into a race like this as well. So it definitely deserves the price. $1.90 is a pretty good place price as well. So I've got it in for 3rd. And then for 4th, number 4, Exeter for David Hayes and Tom Dabney, who really doesn't win or place out of turn. Really, it's had 10 starts in its race career, and it's a won twice and never placed. So usually it either wins or it places, and so that's why I've got it for 4th. I think that's a decent spot to put it. If it can get sort of back to the form it showed first up at Caulfield, where it finished 4th behind the likes of Excess Funds and Way Up in the Sky, that form will see it. And that type of run and the sort of the time it ran there, we'll see it go really close winning a race like this. But and last time out, it was on the Lakeside track, which I do mention is hard to make ground on. It did finish 7th there behind Final Man and Al Burke. But like I said, similar form line to the 9, Defiant Dancer, and Defiant Dancer finished in front of Exeter there. So I've got to go with Defiant Dancer on top of it. So recap the numbers for me. Look, I'm keen on number 9, Defiant Dancer, ahead of number 10, Hardy Lass. Like I said, if it gets that firm track, I give it a very good chance at the $17. Think it's definitely worth an each way go if we get that good track. In for third, number 7, Lunar Light. In for fourth, number 4, Exeter. Now, I have left Lara Croft out, who I was pretty keen on last start, and but it just didn't show a whole lot there, and it's going to have to do a lot of work from the outside barrier, so I'm a bit concerned about that. But if it can get across and get into a prominent enough position, it definitely could be a good chance to win this race. So $11 isn't a bad price. It's a very, very open race, and as such, my selections have done the talking there, with a lot of them being in double figures. Move on to race number 5, and it's the Tab SA Classic over the 2,500 metres. Nice field here. For the first of the sort of feature races at Morphettville. Look at the speed map. I'd say Raptures, Twilight Magic, Active Aggression will probably get out from the inside barrier and get towards the speed. Charlie Rose usually likes to be up towards the front. Angel Rock will be close enough. I'd say Lion's Share will be probably just tucking behind the speed as well. So decent battle for the lead, and that will set it up nicely for some of these back marks. So I think are the better chances in the race. And for me, the best chance in the race is number 2, Silent Sovereign, who can't really believe it's $4.80, because you look at 2 starts back when it won well at Morphettville over the 1,800 metres. That was a nice performance. Then it went obviously into the Oaks and finished 10th behind Toffee Tongue. It was only 3.3 lengths off there. So I think that's just the right form to bring in a race like this. And $4.80 and $1.80 the place is a bit over the odds for me. I think this horse got a great chance, so I'm going to have it on top. Ahead of number 3, Realm of Flowers, who obviously was in that Silent Sovereign race and did finish for nearly 4 lengths off it. So interesting that it goes around as a favourite at $3.70 over Silent Sovereign at $4.80, when Silent Sovereign went to the tougher race. Roman Flowers went to Murray Bridge in a midweek Wednesday meeting, and look, only just got up on the line. It was a real eye-catching performance because it came from a long way back and came home with a wet sail, as I like to say. And this horse does like a wet track, so I do think that if we get that wet track, it'll make it into its favour, but not so much so that it should be favourite over Silent Sovereign. I think that is just ridiculous. So Silent Sovereign with a bit of confidence over Realm of Flowers. I just can't see why there's a difference in price there when Silent Sovereign beat it so convincingly 2 starts back. But anyway, we will take it because the price is much better, so we'll go with it. It's number 5, Stick 'em Up, is an interesting runner from John Sargent. Now, this is a horse that was running in some very hot races. It has the 4 behind Colette and Toffee Tongue, obviously the classic, the Oaks winner, which is, I guess, really with the form you want to be bringing into this. Silent Sovereign came out of that form race, but didn't run it very well. Whereas this horse, Stick 'em Up, was 6 lengths off Colette and only just over 4 lengths behind Toffee Tongue. So I think that's good enough form to bring into this to be a chance, and the market says so at the $4.20. I think that's a fair price. So I still think Silent Sovereign's a better chance, but Stick 'em Up definitely is worth a good mention at the $4.20. And Bell X is one that really interests me. This is a horse that finished 4th last time out in the St. Ledger behind Sacramento and Sir Eustace. Sir Eustace was disappointing in the Derby last week. I did give it a good enough chance there, but Bell X ran on really well in the the St. Ledger last start, and prior to that finished 2nd behind Royal Crown at Caulfield, which has been a good form race. So this horse is bringing in a bit of a different form line. $9.50, $2.90. Can Johnny Allen do the back-to-back and win the Derby and then the Tab Classic here, the Tab SA Classic here? So interesting to see if he can win this. And then obviously you've got the race later on in the day with obviously the Goodwood as well. So it'd be interesting to see if he can top off his already successful South Australian Carnival campaign. We're of course going over there and skipping some good meetings here in Victoria. But look, for me, I'm pretty confident number 2, Silent Sovereign here. I think it's got a great chance at a nice price. I think $4.80 the place is a bit silly, and $4.80 is a nice price. Over Realm of Flowers, who, like I said, can't really understand the difference in the market between the two. Number 5, Stick 'em Up in for 3rd, in for 4th, number 4, Bell X. Move on to race number 6 now. It's the Amy Central Stakes, and a nice field here. And look at the speed map for this one. There's not a whole lot of speed. I'd say, look, Belle Jude, the runner for Gemma Riley, of course, quite a favourite person here on this channel, with her giving her time for an interview a few weeks back. So if you haven't seen that, go and have a look. You'll be able to find that in my videos from a couple of weeks ago. So definitely go and check her out. She talks a bit about LaBelle Jude. So if you want a bit of extra info on that runner and you want to support her, go and have a look at that video there. Oasis Girl, I'd say, be up towards the pace. Nerve Not Verve will be close enough as well. But say LaBelle Jude will probably find the top here. So not a whole lot of toe in the race, but I'm pretty keen on a horse on number 2, Girl Tuesday here. I'm going to back that this horse doesn't get too far back. This just looks a right race for her. Really hasn't been a good form, and she doesn't. she doesn't often place. She usually either wins or is way out of it. So she's had 18 starts for 6 wins and 3 placings, and the interesting thing for me is that it comes back on top of the ground here. It was finished 8th last time out in the Hawkesbury Gold Cup, which I really think is a great form race. Sam and Geary live and free with the 1-2 there, and was only 1.8 lengths off those, so it doesn't read that bad. But prior to that, was 10th behind the positive piece, who was absolutely flying on that occasion. So look, Strike's a very winnable race here. Can't really take it with heaps of confidence. Not going to say it's my best bet or anything, because she hasn't been in good form, but she definitely, if there's going to be a race she wins, this will be the one. So I'm going to have her on top. And at number 7, Lamu, I'm really interested in, comes into this third up, and out of that nice race behind Novation and Cryptic Jewel was uh, look, that they went set a pretty hot tempo and set it up for the outside runners there. So I think that Lamu could turn the tables on Novatia here. So I'm going to have it in for second. Novatia in for third. Obviously, like I said, comes out same form race, but has to deal with that wide barrier, which is a bit tough and not a whole lot of tempo. So I think Lamu will be able to turn the tables on it this time round. So got Novation for third, although I do concede that was a really nice run. And in for fourth, number 13, Oasis Girl, who was absolutely superb last start at Caulfield. Was very keen on its chances, and she did me well there. I'm not 100% convinced on the form of that race, like I mentioned in my Saturday review show earlier this week. I'm not 100% convinced on what it beat there, but regardless, she still put them to the sword, and I thought that was quite impressive. So I've got her in for fourth. But for me, look, I'm keen on number 2, Girl Tuesday. If she can get up to her best, she'll win this type of race. This looks the one for her. If she's going to win a race, this will be it. In for second, number 7, Lamu. For third, number 4, Novatia. And in for fourth, number 13, Oasis Girl. Look, was very tempted to put Fidelia in. I can make a good case for her, because similar to Girl Tuesday, she hasn't won in a while, but if there's a race that she could win, this will be the one. Obviously, third last start behind Shrouded and Mist, and Seabrook could go around a strong race later in the program, but just hasn't been able to win. Just don't know what is going on this preparation with Fidelia, but she just hasn't come back the same this preparation. Look, she could really come out and win well if she shows her best form. She'll go close, very similar to Girl Tuesday, and pays $14. So if you want to take her each way, I think you can load up nicely for the place. $4.20 for the place looks a good price about her, so could definitely make claims for her. And the other horse that I could make a good claim for is number 5, Be Tempted. And look, I'll make, if the rain comes, I think Gemma's notified me on this, and she's obviously mentioned it in her interview when I interviewed her a couple of weeks ago, that LaBelle Jude, she really likes a wet track, so if the wetter the better for her. So if the rain can come, I really do think that the fact that she probably won't be pressured, she's not the worst $46 shot. So I'll be interested to see how she can run. Hopefully for Gemma's sake, she can run really nicely. Move on to race number 7, and it is the Robert and Faye Garrard R.A. Lee Stakes. A long name for that race there, but all respect to those people for having their race name there. But look at the speed map here. I'd say All Too Huing will find the top, and don't think there'll be a whole lot of pressure on it. I think Seabrook might get up and sit outside the lead, but I can't see too many of the rest of these pushing forward. So not a whole lot of tempo in the race. So I'm hoping that Harbour Views and John Allen the saddle doesn't take it too far back. I hope he just sits not far off the speed, and he just is able to round them up and beat them. Obviously, doesn't matter what conditions with this horse, I think it's got a good chance regardless. Last start, it was very good on the Sandown Lakeside track. It was one of not many horses on the day that did make a bit of ground from back of the speed, so the leading 4 in the race, which was the pattern of the day at the Sandown Lakeside track, usually is. So I think that was a very good performance. I think 280 is just a fine price here. That you can win this race quite easily. So I've got it on top. And if number 13, Seabrook, who, like I mentioned, ties up in a similar type of form line to the race prior, where I was mentioning who was it? Hang on. Fidelia. So if Fidelia can run a good race, this will set up nicely for the likes of Seabrook and Shrouded and Mist in this race here. But Seabrook doesn't know how to run a bad race. Had 3 starts this preparation for 3 placings, getting closer to a win. I think the wetter track will suit it better than a firm ground. So a bit of a query there. But $4.60, for a horse that hasn't won in a while, I'm not sure that's the best price in the world. But then again, she didn't go around at massive odds last start, and I did tip her on top, so I can't be too hypocritical there. If a third, look, I'm going to go with number 3, Vinland here. I think it can bounce back to form third up. Be much better. I hope if we can get that firm surface, Vinland comes right into it. Isn't a noted soft tracker, so that's that's probably why I can give it a bit of. Last start it was on a firm track and was disappointing. So, but two starts back when it finished fourth to Order Command, if it can return to that type of form, it could go close here. So I'm going to have it in for third, just on that bit of a query of if it can return to its best or close to its best form, it could run well here. In for fourth, number 14, Aristocratic Miss, who isn't a noted second up performer, but that first up performance was that good. I was very impressed with it. I tipped it on top that day at the $15 odds, and it ran pretty well in the end, finished in for fifth. And I think it could improve off that. Even though its second up record isn't great, I think it can improve and run well here. The other horse that I think's got a very good chance, if we can get that firm track, is Snogging. Snogging will come right into it, and I'll probably bump it into my numbers if it is a firm track, because Snogging definitely runs much better on top of the ground, and its performance in the Bendigo Guineas was absolutely fantastic. So if it can return to that type of form, it'll go very close to winning this race here. So I'll put Snogging in for fifth. But like I said, if we can get that firm track, I do bump up the numbers. But look, Harbour Veers looks really hard to beat here, so I'm going to have it on top. Ahead of number 13, Seabrook, in for second. In for third, number three, Vinland, and in for fourth, number 14, Aristocratic Miss. The other one, like I said, Shrouded Miss. Be interesting. Did beat Seabrook fair and square last time out, and this comes around at $16 here. Now, obviously, prior to that, the form wasn't great, but you still got to think it did beat. Seabrook had every chance to run Shroud and Miss down and couldn't. So the fact that Seabrook goes around at the 460 and Shroud and Miss goes around at $14 doesn't seem too right there. So you could definitely have something each way on Shroud and Miss. They're probably the six chances that I got in the race there. Moving to race number 7, it's the Goodwood. Obviously, the Group 1 Goodwood over 1,200 metres. And anyone who watched my racing review shows, I did say that I had a bet of the month, and this is the race for it. I think that this horse will be just so hard to beat. I'm extremely confident on its chances, but we'll get into the breaking down the race first before I get into my numbers. Zealong, I think, will find the top. Sunlight will probably run a much better race, I think, from being towards the speed. Jungle Edge will get across, and Free Adet will also be up towards the speed. I'd say they'll be the speed factors of the race. But I was asked a while back about Sunlight and her performance. I was actually very disappointed with that run. I see what people are saying about the ride. Obviously, Brent Voss put his hand up, and the McAvoys put their hand up saying that they got it wrong. They thought that the outside part of the track might have, at least for that first turn, be able to give her a bit of a lead into the race, so she could get across that wide barrier and drop into a spot just outside the lead. But in the end, that didn't eventuate for her. She ended up wide the entire trip, but she was still disappointed because she just gave in so quickly in the straight. And I know she did that extra work, but you think about it, it was only that sort of two turns on the bend, and she was only two or three. She was about three wide on the bends. So she was probably about four horses off, but there was only a couple inside of her, and I just think she followed up way too quickly there, and she was a bit disappointing. And she was very plain first up behind Guitro, obviously tackled her and beat her quite easily there. So I can't see how she'll turn the tide on Guitro here personally, but look, I'm very, very keen on Santana Lane. This is his race for me. Obviously, he's a good winner before. He won it a couple of years ago, where he came out and won at $26 odds, and was on it that day. And that was still to this day, I tell as many people as possible. That's why I love him so much, because he did that, and then he went up to the Straddle Rake and he did the double, and that at big odds again. So he's a very valued runner for me, but I haven't really followed him in much this preparation, because my two knocks on him in the previous two starts, when he was at 1,200, 1,400 metres in, obviously very good racing behind Nature Strip and Tofane. He drew inside barriers on both, and I knew that would be a concern for him, because he likes to get out wide and wind up and finish down the outside, and he gets his chance here because he's got barrier number 10. I know the Freemans were really sort of echoed my thoughts on him when he drew those inside barriers for those two races at Randwick. He's since come out, and he's got a wide barrier. He gets a suitable field here. There's going to be no Tofanes, Paradas, Nature Strips in this race here. Guitro as a star, I will give him that. And Sunlight, she's a very handy horse on her day, as we know. She's a Group 1 winner, and She has beaten Santana Lane before, but this is his race. He's just due to win, and I think this is going to be the one for him. He comes in this fourth up, which is usually when he really hits his peak. He does take those few runs to get going in previous preparations. The Freedmans have really tried to get him as a horse that's ready to go fresh, but I think fourth up, he's going to be really hard to beat here. And while the tempo doesn't look to be extremely quick, Sunlight obviously does like to go quick, and so does Jungle Edge. And I'm hoping that Free Adet goes in from the outside barrier, being a 90-1 shot to try and inject some more pace into it. That would really hotting it up, and Santana Lane can come storming down the outside. So hopefully that's the way it pans out. And I think he's a great bet at $7. He's my best bet of the program, one of my best bets of the month for me. So I'm going to have him on top ahead of number 4 Sunlight, who I think she can improve. But like I said, I was extremely disappointed with that last start run. The only reason I'm putting her on top of Geetra just for that value, because I think she can run a place at $2.90, and that's the main reason. Geetra for third, like I said, I think he could probably beat Sunlight home, but I think Sunlight's a better betting option in my opinion. I think Geetra 370 is probably a fair price, but he's got to come up and he's got to do it against Santana Lane now, who, like I said, he has been there and done it. He's won the Group 1. Obviously, he won it. Where was it at Flemington? So he did beat a good field that day. He did beat a horse called Loving Gabby. He beat Red Zell. So he has beaten a sort of a field like this, but he's got to do it again now at the 370. So he goes in for third. And in for fourth, I've got number 5 Zatori. If it can return to the form it had before last start, it will run a big race here. Obviously, last start we finished behind Loving Gabby and Geetra, who at Moonee Valley. I want to forgive that run there. It's had a freshen up since then. It hasn't run since the 20th of March. Prior to that, it finished 4th to Bivouac and Loving Gabby and finished 2nd to Pippi and Zatori in the Oakley Plate at Caulfield. So Zatori's got a good chance here. If it can return to that form, it'll run well here. And the Inevitables, another one that I'll make a mention of. Obviously, if it gets that wet track, it'll come right into things. It was a very good run last time out behind Prezado. I don't think it's the right form, but is a horse that we know can really mix it with the best on its day. Another horse that I think's got a chance, Order Command's been flying, comes in this third up, and like I said, a wet track for this horse. We'll see it come right in contention. Comes from 62 down to 55.5, so big weight swing about that horse. But look, I'm very keen on Santana Lane. I think it's the one to beat. Ahead of if they have number 4 Sunlight for second, like I said, I think Geetra can beat her, but she's a better betting proposition. I think she can bounce back and she can run a place at least here. And Tony and Calvin McElroy are very keen on her chances to bounce back. So I think that she's a horse that can do that. She can run a bad race and then bounce back again. We saw that last preparation where she ran a poor race and she came back and finished second before being expelled. So if she can return that type of form, she'll run well enough here. And Geetra for third, like I said, has a huge chance, just $3.70, $70 the place. Would rather if you have a look at Sunlight and obviously Santana Lane as the winner. And then if a fourth, I've got number 5 Zatori, who, like I said, if it can return to its right form, it could be right at the finish. Moving on to race number 9, it's the Tab Proud Miss Stakes, and looking at the speed map for this one here. And I'd say there'd be a bit of tempo in this big field. I'd say that Equal Love will go towards the speed. Lunar Light will be up there. I'd say Miss Bandito would drop back. Street Icon, interesting to see where it can go. It can either be on speed or back in the run. I'd say Simply Dreaming will try and get across from one of the wide barriers, barrier number 18 there. Eugene's Pick will probably be close enough to the speed. Maybe won't be on speed, but be probably just tucking in behind. So a bit of horses, a bit of an interest here. I'd say Equal Love will find the top though, and perhaps there might be a few of these that might just sort of be looking at each other as they go towards the bend. So have a few jockeys that'll be. I guess it could become really come down to the best ride, and often does in these big races. But look, I'm going to land with. It's a tough one because there's a few horses that I really do like in this race. I'm going to go with Mystery Love, who was just so good first up at Caulfield, beat Prophet's Thumb on that occasion, then came out in a heavy track at Sandown Lakeside, was back last, was never a chance from there on. As I said, with the pattern of the day, was never going to win. But you can get back to that firm track, obviously coming back. Has a win on a soft, so that was at Caulfield, and then so if we get that, that's fine. If we get a good track, it's fine as well. So I think 750 and 260 is a real good price about it. So I'm going to have it on top. Out of number 2, Hummer, who, she is right up to winning this type of race. She has a very good chance here. She finished 10th behind Bella in the Tab Classic a couple of weeks back. She was just fair in that race. She ran on okay, but there's no Balaval in this race, so I think she can bounce back and run well here. So I'm going to have her in for second. Good price at $1.95 the place as well, so she's got a chance. In for third, number 5 Street Icon, who's really been running well and was in that Tab Classic race and ran on okay. Finished just 4 lengths off the leaders there. Prior to that, finished second at Vane Street, was in some terrific form. So similarly with this horse, get on top of the ground, give it a very good chance. Get that wet conditions, maybe not so much, but look, she is flying for the Kevin Corson's team and could run a race here. It's a good price at $7.50. Then if a fourth, number 9, Magnet Bella, who's a horse that I sanded out in my racing preview from last week. It ran really well at Morphettville behind Miss Mandito, and Easy Beast was coming to the line nicely. Comes into this third up. I think it's got a very nice chance to run well here again. Number 10, Too Good Too Hard, I think could be a nice chance. Obviously, a horse that if it gets on top of the ground, really do give it a nice shot at these, and was on a heavy track on a Sandown Lakeside track where, like I mentioned, was very hard to make ground, so can forgive that because prior to that it was in very good form. So could be a horse that bounces back as well for Phil Stokes, who's got a few nice chances on the day. The other horse that I'll probably give some chance to could be Miss Mandito, who was good last start, but isn't generally a consistent horse, doesn't generally put it back to back, so just that little bit of a query there. But look, I'm very keen on number 4, Mystery Love on top, ahead of number 2, Hummer Hummer in for second. In for third, number 5, Street Icon. And then in for fourth, number 9, Magna Bella. And moving on to my best bets of the program at Morphettville, like I said, in the Goodwood race, probably is my best bet of the day, is race number 8, number 1, Santo Lane, the $7. So getting a nice price about a best bet. Just think that this is his race and he's going to be very, very hard to beat in this type of race. I'm going to have him as my best bet. And in race number 7, number 9, Harbour Views, I think also be very hard to beat at $2.80. So they're my 2 best bets. As for my best value in the final race of the card, number 4, Mystery Love, I think it's got a very good each way chance. I think it can bounce back off its last start performance. So that's the final race on the card. Race number 9, number 4, Mystery Love at the $7.50 and $2.60 the place. And the other best value for me of the program, just looking through, look, I do think that Defiant Dance is going to run a good race in race number 4. So that's race number 4, number 9, Defiant Dance at $6 and $2.25 the place. So good luck if you're playing at Morphettville. Whoa. Apologies about that. I've just knocked my little stand there. But look, if you're playing at Morphettville on the weekend, good luck with your investments. It hasn't been too kind for myself personally, so I'm hoping that we can go out with a bang and we can have a big weekend this weekend. So stay tuned. I'm going to put out my Caulfield and my Rose Hill / Gold Coast preview tomorrow. So stay tuned for those. Hopefully you can find plenty of winners on the weekend and enjoy the great racing that we've got ahead of us. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys very shortly. Hopefully we can find plenty of winners.